The much-anticipated battle for top spot in Group A saw Lionel Messi and Inter Miami return to the pitch after their dazzling display against Porto. But this time, the challenge was far more daunting. Facing a gritty and disciplined Palmeiras side, Miami knew that only a win would guarantee them avoiding a clash with PSG in the next round. Even FIFA President Gianni Infantino was in attendance, underscoring the significance of the match. The early moments were dominated by Palmeiras, who came out pressing aggressively, signaling a tough shift ahead for Inter's goalkeeper, Oscar Ustari. Yet, football's unpredictability soon made its mark. From a Palmeiras attacking move, Inter Miami launched a textbook counterattack. Luis Suárez held up the ball brilliantly, laying it off to Haaland. The Argentine exploded forward from deep inside his own half, sprinting past the entire Brazilian defense before calmly slotting the opener into the back of the net. Still, it was clear Inter Miami had defensive issues heading into the game, missing several key players. And it almost cost them. A misplaced pass during their build-up play on the left flank saw them lose possession under intense Palmeiras pressing. Facundo Torres nearly capitalized, but his hesitation allowed only a narrow-angle shot that drifted just wide of the far post. For Lionel Messi, this was no ordinary game either. The legendary number 10 was on the cusp of turning 38. Yet despite the occasion, the Argentine icon struggled to leave his usual imprint on the match, and even picked up a yellow card late in the first half. It was shaping up to be a game where Miami would need a miracle from their maestro. As the second half unfolded, Inter Miami began asserting more control, with Messi continuing to seek that breakthrough moment. His long-range strike, however, flew over the bar. The miracle hadn't arrived yet, but Inter still had other elite weapons at their disposal. Luis Suárez, ever the predator, punished a sloppy defensive error by Palmeiras, capitalizing clinically to make it 2-0 for the MLS side. It was a veteran's strike in a high-stakes game. Still, age has its price. As the match wore on, the Miami Stars began to tire. In the final 10 minutes, the momentum shifted dramatically. Paulinho clawed one back for Palmeiras, injecting new life into the Brazilian side's pursuit of the group's top spot. Then came the moment that changed everything. In the 87th minute, Mauricio pounced, leveling the score at 2-2 and sending the Palmeiras bench into raptures. Inter Miami, now visibly fatigued, were hanging on. The draw was enough to send both teams into the knockout rounds, but it was Palmeiras who clinched first place in Group A. Inter Miami, despite their early heroics, would now face the daunting task of meeting Champions League winners Paris Saint-Germain in the next stage. In fact, it could have been worse for Messi and company. Just before the final whistle, Victor Roque had a golden opportunity to seal a dramatic win for Palmeiras, only to miss narrowly. This was the final showdown of the group stage at Hard Rock Stadium, a true test of character, resilience, and ambition. Inter Miami had turned heads with their flair, particularly Messi's stunning free kick that downed Porto earlier in the tournament. But Palmeiras had been the embodiment of Brazilian grit, staying unbeaten and rock solid at the back. As both teams advance, the road only gets tougher. But one thing is certain. This game delivered everything a global audience could hope for: stars, drama, and the relentless pursuit of glory. Yet it was this dramatic draw that painted a far more layered picture than any stat sheet ever could. First and foremost, credit must go to Inter Miami. They walked into this match missing a host of key defensive players. Starting goalkeeper Drake Callender was absent, Gonzalo Lujan wasn't ready, and both Marcelo Weigand and Ian Frey were last-minute fitness doubts. Despite these setbacks, Javier Mascherano stuck to his principles. Inter Miami continued to press high and dominate possession. At times, they even pushed their defensive line aggressively into Palmeiras' half. The numbers reflect that ambition: 54% possession and 525 completed passes at an impressive 86% accuracy. Tactically, they succeeded in dragging Palmeiras into a game that required patience and mental grit. The Brazilian side couldn't launch their usual waves of pressure. Instead, Inter Miami managed to create space, just enough for players like Lionel Messi and Luis Suárez to operate. With only 8 total shots, Inter still forced one of the most disciplined defenses in the tournament to pick the ball out of their own net twice. But ball control alone doesn't tell the whole story. What truly revealed the cracks in Inter Miami's armor was the contrast in attacking pressure. Palmeiras didn't need to dominate the ball. When they saw an opening, they unleashed 22 shots, nearly 3 times more than their opponents. 7 of them were on target, keeping goalkeeper Oscar Ustari under constant pressure. That imbalance is a red flag Mascherano must address. When Messi and Suárez still had energy to press from the front, Inter looked formidable. But as fatigue set in, their defensive shape became fragile. On the other side, Palmeiras showed why South American clubs are so feared on the global stage. They allowed Inter Miami to have the ball in midfield, but waited patiently to capitalize on small errors. Their defense was nearly undone when Murilo Cerqueira was forced off with an injury. But credit to manager Abel Ferreira, he had the bench depth to plug the gap seamlessly. Smart substitutions and tweaks in the pressing structure helped Palmeiras flip the momentum, just as Inter Miami began to retreat into a defensive shell. One telling stat: corner kicks. Palmeiras earned 7 corners. Inter Miami, not a single one. It's a reflection of 2 things: Palmeiras' ability to force last-ditch clearances from Miami's defense, and Inter's limited width in attack. Most of their chances came through the middle or from Messi's set pieces, not from breaking down the flanks. And therein lies the risk. Relying too heavily on Messi's creativity or Suárez's instincts might work in isolated games. But it's not a sustainable formula, especially if they're up against European sides with stronger wing defenses. Individually, Luis Suárez stood out as Inter Miami's brightest star. His striker's instincts remain razor-sharp. From the perfectly timed run that broke the deadlock to the solo goal that made it 2-0, he looked every bit the world-class finisher. But as the second half wore on, age caught up. The veteran forward visibly faded and could no longer press or track back. Palmeiras, by contrast, once again showed why they are South America's elite. No flash, no need for overwhelming possession, just structure, discipline, and purpose with every attack. Late-game substitutions like Paulinho and Mauricio, both coming off the bench, proved decisive, showing just how crucial squad depth is when the tide needs turning. In the end, the 2-2 scoreline feels like a fair reflection of both teams' performances. Palmeiras remain unbeaten in the tournament and finish top of Group A. Inter Miami, despite conceding twice for the first time in this year's Club World Cup, still move on, thanks to moments of individual brilliance. But tougher tests await. Palmeiras now face domestic rivals Botafogo, a Brazilian derby where anything can happen. Meanwhile, Inter Miami are set for a massive showdown against the European champions, Paris Saint-Germain. For Lionel Messi, turning 38 and picking up a yellow card on the day, it may not have been the birthday gift he had hoped for.